so interesting, Trish.
It,
Tolerance. And that's what this mass formation psychosis has always been about. And they
so
do it through our public school system.
yes, so compliance was first, right? They taught compliance. Stop teaching analytical thought, right? You don't think about it. It's just blind loyalty. You follow directions. That's it. Down to school lessons. Everything is step by step, and you fit even the teachers. If the right, if the and rubrics, if the kids think outside of these predetermined answers and responses, they don't get a grade or they failed. They have to be here. So we train the kids because now teachers started teaching to the test. They stopped teaching. We weren't addressing the whole child and across curriculum. Learning wasn't rich anymore, right? It wasn't enriched. It was structured by these people that weren't in classrooms, that had no interest in education, that had no interest in that. And so they structured this whole thing, trained the teachers to train the children to think within a certain way. Everyone has to think within this box right here. No one can go outside of it, otherwise there's a problem. And if you as a teacher decided to teach outside of that box, and because if you demanded greater of your kids and your kids did not meet your standard, and so for whatever reason they may have failed or whatever it is, they failed by the school standards, but not necessarily by your standards in your classroom, you're called in now to answer why are so many kids at this level? Why are so many kids at that level? You need to fix it. You need they need to pass. This is the percentage that must pass. Okay, so you bring them back. Teach to the test. Teach to the test. Don't think thought. And then from compliance, you now have this tolerance situation. Now you're compliant. Listen to me. You're trained now to do as I say. Don't go outside of this box. You're going to do everything that I say to do. And then we teach tolerance over celebration. Because I kept saying, if we move from a nation of toleration to celebration, this will be a very different place. Because if I celebrate you, I'm not looking for you to leave. I want to be in your presence because I want to hear from you. I want to understand you. I want to know you.
Even if you think differently than me.
Even if it's differently, I don't have to agree with you. But we celebrate our differences, and the strength of this movement is based upon the celebration of differences, because our differences strengthens this movement. When you look at Defeat the Mandates, when you look out the rallies, when you look at these different places, the reason why it's so strong is because it's not one people group. It's not one form of thought. The only unifying one singular thought that we all have in common is freedom, right? That's what we all have in common, if I'm saying it correctly. That's where we have in common. But everything else represents our differences. We don't agree on everything else. We may have similarities that we agree on, but we look different, we speak different, we act different, we believe different. Everything else is different. We have different socioeconomic statuses. We come from different cultures, race and creed. But it's strengthening our movement because we
agree on freedom.
It's freedom. We agree on one mindset, and they can't divide us based on our differences because the singular focus and goal of this movement has superseded everything else. To the fact that now we're happy to see people that don't look like us because we know that our destinies are intertwined. Our future is dependent on our differences and the fact that we come together because this has invaded all our lives. So we are not tolerant of each other in this movement. We are celebratory, and that's why those truckers can be out there after being brutalized yesterday. That's why those people in Ottawa can be standing together. That's why the rallies can come together. That's why these sit-ins are happening with people who can get arrested and keep going back because they celebrate the differences. There's no tolerance. People who are under the banner and under the hypnosis of tolerance are the ones who say, yeah, lock them up because they haven't done XYZ. Yeah, I agree. They should be. Why don't you just get the vaccine? Why don't you just this? Why don't you just that? They're not understanding that I may have a reason for not getting it. And they're not interested in learning it because time's up. We gave you enough time to get this done. We've done tolerated you. We put up with your nonsense. We put up with all of this. And so time's up. So the hypnosis has worked. Tolerant.
Yes.
They repeated that word so many times over the past couple of years. Tolerance was tolerance. We are a tolerant nation. When I heard that, I said, I don't go where anybody tolerates me. I go where people celebrate me.
I do too.
Why the heck am I signing up to go somewhere where somebody tolerates
Well,
me?
words are powerful, aren't they?
Yeah.
Very powerful. And it only takes 90 days to change a habit. They had 18 months to lock us all in our homes and make us comply to an unlawful edict, is what I call
Absolutely.
it.
And they keep throwing out, and then they keep throwing out dog whistle terms, right?
Yeah.
This is the virus of the unvaccinated.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. When Biden said that, and he said, oh, I know you all are upset, and I know you want to do something because you're upset. If you go back and look at his speech, I listened to that speech and I said, that's a deadly situation. That is a deadly thing for him to be doing. And I said,
it is.
He's trying to incite violence, and he's trying to pit the vaxxed against the unvaxxed, and he's starting a war. And I did not think that was funny that night when I heard that.
Oh, heck no.
No, but yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's still continuing. We just had Fauci come out yesterday and say children should not be unmasked in school. It's not safe yet. You've put it out to people. He just came out a couple of days ago. I know these states are doing it. It's not safe. And it's
dog whistle terms.
Dog whistle terms. You're telling people that if you have a different opinion, right? As Tricia was just saying, if you are that person thinking that, if I want to go to my school board and say, kids shouldn't be masked, then I'm not safe. Right. And I want to harm your kid. And if I want to harm your kid, then you're okay to harm me. And it's the same thing for the vaccine. It's the same thing for these masks. When you set up a situation to treat people differently, it's not an accident. It's not an accident. It's planned. They know what they're doing.
It's just like the parents. We have so much psychosis going on. They really think public schools are free. They believe that this institution is over here, that the government pays for your child, so that you can go to work and it's free. They never look at how much of their tax dollars go to that institution, and that makes you a stakeholder. You pay federal, local, state, and you also pay property taxes to support that school. Mm-hmm. And no one ever talks about that. And they've made families believe that I've got to go to this school because I've got to work, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. And even with the 18 months of the lockdown, I would have thought that people would wake up and say, you know what? I couldn't go to work. Children couldn't go to school. Maybe I need to reevaluate this situation, because this model that I've always thought I would have is not a stable model. It's got a lot of holes in it. The foundation's cracked. Mm-hmm. But you don't have a lot of people saying that. They were glad to send their children back into those schools, muzzled, 6 feet apart, special needs children, those with intellectual disabilities, who I know for myself as a parent, I worked hard to integrate and socialize my child. I wasn't sending him back to a program that said he had to be 3 feet apart with a mask on when he has other issues.
Partitions.
Yeah,
partitions.
That's right, partitions.
I have a client who has a daughter's deaf mute, and the teacher is talking to her with a mask on, but she needs to read her lips to communicate.
And yet Education Weekly came out with their own study and stated that those children with intellectual disabilities who had language disorders have actually regressed because they were in schools with masks on. Absolutely. These children need to read your lips. You have a lot of visual learners. They need to actually understand what you say, and hearing and looking at your lips helps to educate these children. Absolutely. It's just a sham what we've done. Absolutely. And yet, as you said, we've tolerated it. Right. A lot of parents have tolerated it.
But let me. We were back in the same circle, the same hamster wheel. if you are telling people that if my kid doesn't wear a mask, your kid's going to die, then you don't care about being able to read lips, right?
Absolutely.
Right. It's you define the term fake.
You're right, John. But
You're right.
know what? I tell a lot of parents that have told me something like that. I tell them this. Over the years, you've always asked me for the science to prove what I'm saying is true. Did you ask them where the proof is in those masks? Did you ask them where the proof is in sending your child to school where they're ingesting their own carbon dioxide, when you've got carbon dioxide meters in your house, detectors in your house, to make sure it doesn't kill you in your sleep? Have you asked about that? Have you gone to the schools to check to see if they have those same meters in every classroom and what they're doing to make sure that these children breathe in some fresh air and then breathe out their own toxins? Have you asked those questions? And I haven't had anybody come back to me and say, yes. Not one person.
Compliant.
I've done that.
They just
Not
do
one
it.
person. And that's part of the problem. It's okay to ask us, which, first of all, it's nobody's business whether or not I'm vaccinated or not. That's not your business. That's only my business.
Medical procedure.
That HIPAA's thrown out of the window if they can ask you your medical status, because it's not their business. First of all, I should be able to walk within my community without you asking me if I'm vaccinated or not. Just like the stores early on had on them when he first did the ban on vaccine mandates. If you're vaccinated, you can come in this store without a mask. If you're not vaccinated, you need a mask. I just walked in because I was waiting for somebody to ask me my business, so I can tell them that it's not yours. That's my personal business. I didn't ask you if you had a hysterectomy, so why you asking me if I'm wearing a mask? If I need to, if I'm vaccinated. But these are issues that people have to start thinking about. But we've gotten to the place where we're not. You're right. We're not teaching critical thought in school. Not at all. We're teaching these children to be just obedient little robots, to follow orders, follow directions, and we've grown up generations of these adults now who are told to comply, follow the orders that are given to you. We've actually run these schools like military camps.
And if anybody is different, there's an expiration time.
That's right.
A limited time that people put up with that.
That's right.
For some reason, we're getting feedback. I don't know why.
I feel like our corporate overlords are coming to the internet screen because we've got deeper on this. No, I listen. Since when is the question telling kids they can't ask the word why?
Right.
Right. You said it. You said why about the masks? Why is the first thing these days? You tell kids they can't ask why. It's a bad place.
It is.
It's easy to tell children not to ask why when you don't have adults asking why.
Yeah.
It's got to start with those who have the ability to really ask why and make a decision based on that why, the answer to that why. Right. Children don't have that ability, but adults do.
So I want to thank you guys for being here, listening to the rest of this conversation. Welcome to the My Black Health platform. And if you didn't see the beginning of this conversation, go to CHD.TV and look up what's your view. That's where the conversation begins. So thank you guys for coming. Tricia and John, we appreciate you.
Yes, we do so much.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, everyone.